Okay, so the Veil, right? This is a new, like, indie folklore horror type of thing, you know? It is the latest film from Cameron Beyl. Um, he wrote and directed it. He also produces along with Kyle F. Andrews. It's executive produced by Matthew Helderman, John Maletis, and Luke Taylor. Kyle McCuston took care of the music. David Gordon was on cinematography. Cameron Beyl also edits the piece. Sophie S. Schneider is production design and costume design. Shelley Lynn Koch and Claire Magnus were hair and makeup. Desiree Ellswick is in the art department. Cameron Beyl also took care of visual effects. So, our cast. Right, we have got. Let's do this. So, Douglas is played by Sean O'Brien and Will Tranfo. Hannah is played by Rebekah Kennedy. There's Gloria, played by Kathy Becker. And Gloria's mother is played by Carol Kromicki. Okie dokie. So, what other information do we need, right? Let's get to the gist of the story. The gist of the story. It's always good, right? Redemption gives way to a reckoning when a reclusive retired priest shelters a young Amish runaway in crisis, only to reveal a mystery that ties her to a terrifying encounter from his youth and the aurora that rages overhead. Boy. So, yeah. I mean, this opens up, right? We've got a girl running through a wood, right? And at first, I thought she was an Edwardian maid, right? Because it's that I didn't even, didn't clock at first that she's Amish. But yeah, so we see her running through, and then all of a sudden there's a guy in a car. So you're like, oh, right, it can't be Edwardian times. But yeah, there's this young guy in the car and she's asking for help, but he leaves. Right, then we jump to present day and we have an older guy, he's a priest, and he gets a call to go and do last rites on someone and all of that kind of jazz. So that's how this all opens up. And there's this kind of Northern Lights type of thing in the sky, apparition, however you want to maybe call it. So there's a lot to ponder, just on the opening of this film. We do actually have a director's statement from Cameron, right? It reads, to move through life is to accumulate memories, for better or worse. Our experiences make us who we are. They keep the past alive even as the arrow of time propels us relentlessly towards the future. This fixed direction, always forward, never back, ensures that we can't change the past even as it hangs over the present like a curtain or an apparition. If history represents the narrative we want to preserve, then it can be said that ghosts are the past we wish to bury, the baggage that lays bare our flaws, the manifestation of all those times we fell short of our ideals. They are not so much proof of life after death as they are evidence that our actions today can reverberate down through the years and decades and long after we're gone. The classical ghost story is inherently compelling, representing tragedy, missed opportunity, and the fleeting nature of humanity itself. Its power lies in our fundamental fear of the unknown. And what greater unknown is there than the life beyond this one? Animated by a haunting atmosphere that fuses the supernatural with the celestial, the veil draws on the timeless cadence of the ghost story to explore the unexpected burdens of memory. Set within the woods of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where the spectres of colonial America still commune with the present, the veil infuses a great deal of personal meaning into a genre framework. My family has deep roots in the area, which in turn has cultivated a natural curiosity about its Amish traditions, especially in juxtaposition to my own Catholic background. My research for the story clued me into a long history of conflict and distrust between the two creeds, with the Amish having documented a period of persecution at the hands of Catholics in a book titled Martyr's Mirror. In 11 years of Catholic education, I had never been taught this history, and the priests I asked were unaware of it as well. Another instance, perhaps, of history being written by the victors, and a reminder that it's far easier to simply ignore our inner monsters than it is to confront them. The horror genre isn't so quick to let us forget. At the same time, its visceral thrills compel us to look away. It also dares us to look closer. It invites us to share a light into the darkness, if only to reveal the fundamental truths leering back at us from the shadows. In the dark, there is reckoning. In the angry orange flame of a wax candle, there is righteousness. And in the phosphorescent curtain of green aurora, billowing across the night sky, there is redemption. Or so we might hope. The veil aims to open the door to the unknown and to invite the audience imagination across the threshold. So yes, there you go. That's what Cameron's trying to do here. And yeah, so it's this story of this priest who, as a young man, didn't really follow the creed, right? Didn't follow the creed. And so he has this, Damocles sword hanging over him. Now, it is like we don't really get a real reason why. Because I'm assuming, because this is we don't know, when we first meet the young Douglas, that he's already on the path to becoming a priest. I'm assuming so. Because I think people usually come at it at a younger age rather than, they hit 30 and be like, I want to be a priest, right? Maybe there are some that have done that, but I think usually it's from the younger age. So you'd assume, he's been doing the reading, studying and training, all of that jazz. So it's just like, why would, why would you turn your back on someone? That's the big thing. Right? Now, did he know she's Amish and be like, fuck the Amish? Was that the thing? We don't really know. But that's what happens. And it's the thing that is clearly haunting Douglas. So it's interesting how this all, comes out. Like, we got this green aurora in the sky, right? Which is always, I don't know. It's not so much haunting, but it is kind of like the feeling of the unknown, right? There's this specter of the supernatural, right? Something unearthly hanging. So we have that. And there are these moments in the film where there seems to be a facial transformation, which is kind of spooky. It does kind of make you go, yo, what the fuck was that? What's going on? So we have these different things, but it's then the case of Rebekah Kennedy, right? Sean O'Brien and Will Tranfo to really bring these things to life. You know, like Rebekah does a good job of portraying, you know, Hannah, this woman who is in fear, right? Worried. And Sean, it was mainly with the older Douglas. So Sean does a great job of having this guy that wants to make amends, but how can he do that, right? So we're seeing all of this stuff go down, but there are these other things as well that are happening that are making you go, what's happening right now? What are we seeing? You know, what is this? Are these ghosts? Are we in a time loop? Like, what's happening? You're not quite sure, but you're intrigued. You know what I mean? You're intrigued. You're drawn into this story, and you're wondering, how can it all work itself out? I think there is a point where you realize what's going on. Right? There is a point where you realize that, which then you're just like, okay, how? Like, this is crazy. How does this happen? You know what I mean? Because that's the big crux of it. How? Now, we do not know. We do not find out. But that's fine, right? Because we do... you know, when this all ends, it does feel like we have got this resolution, which is interesting. But it's kind of like, is this just something that's happened to these people, or is this something that's within the area? You know what I mean? Like, what are the parameters of this veil, shall we say? You know what I mean? That's a big thing. But yeah, it's, you know, there's a lot of darkness going on. A lot of it's shot at night. So there is a lot of shadow work and, you know, which invokes mystery, right? Definitely does that. So I think it's, you know, it's not your traditional horror film, right? Not your traditional horror film, but it is something that does make you kind of be on edge, right? Does make you think and wonder and all of these different things. You know, there was a film on, it was a Shudder original, from, I think, 2 years ago. We covered it on the pod, right? It was called The Power. And this very much reminds me of that, right? You can also think tonally a bit like something like Starvacre, though very different, or The Shepherd, right? That we covered. Ooh. I think that might have been last year's London Film Festival, right? But yeah, tonally, it does invoke those films. But The Veil is a very different affair, you know? Very different affair, but interesting as hell. Very, very interesting. So if you do like these kind of psychological horrors, I definitely recommend you checking it out. You know, all the links are on the website, people, so you can step into the veil if you dare. It's a short film. It's only 70 minutes, right? So this isn't a huge commitment of time. And it's kind of like this snapshot story, right? So it's intriguing and then it's done. So yeah, The Veil. When is it? Okay, so it will be dropping on VODs on the 14th of. Wait, is it the 14th? Oh no, actually, it is out. It's out. It's out. Dropped on the 4th, right? It's, it's all that whole thing of being out, trying to schedule interviews. So sometimes these things come out slightly after, right, the release. But yeah, boom. You know what I mean? Now you've listened to this, you can go out and grab it. So that's even better. So yeah, The Veil.